Hi, Gurfiza. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Thank
Do you want to
you.
start by telling me a little bit about your project?
Yeah, so I'm going to present a summary about the Charter. I'm going to begin. The Canadian Charter Rights and Freedoms Summary. My name is Gurfiza, and today I will be presenting my summary on the Canadian Charter Rights and Freedoms. I chose this topic because I wanted to learn more about the laws. I wanted to learn more about the Charter and how the Canadian government works. So let's begin. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which was written by Pierre Elliott Trudeau in 1982, guarantees the rights and freedoms set out and is subject to reasonable limits prescribed by law. The 9 categories in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms are fundamental freedoms, democratic rights, mobility rights, legal rights, equality rights, official language rights, minority language educational rights, general rights, and enforcement rights. The Charter guarantees such rights as the right to equality, democracy, and mobility. The freedoms include those of sense of right and wrong, religion, and peaceful assembly. In 1982, in the early 1980s, the government of Pierre Elliott Trudeau, father of current Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, began the process of transferring Canada's constitution, taking it out of the hands of the British Parliament. The Trudeau government also decided to include within the Constitution a new Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Receiving an approval from Britain for the last time, Queen Elizabeth II signed the Canada Act on April 17, 1982 in Ottawa. Since the Charter is a part of the Canadian Constitution, it is the most important law we have here in Canada. Any person in Canada, whether they are a Canadian citizen, a permanent resident, or a newcomer, they have the rights and freedoms contained in the Charter. The Charter provides basic principles among living with different mentality, ethics, gender, and many other aspects of living life in the society as compared to most of the religions in the world. Therefore, the Charter is very successful in providing maximum justice and equality in Canada. The Canadian nation would not survive without the Charter if it were to be removed from the Constitution. Thank you for listening.
That's great. It sounds like you did a ton of research.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what led you to choose this topic?
Well, I've always been really interested in laws. I really wanted to elaborate more on, I wanted to learn more about the laws. And as I've mentioned before, I actually really want to learn about how the Canadian government runs. So.
That's really cool. And did you learn some things that you didn't know before? Did anything surprise you?
Yeah, many things actually.
Do you want to tell me about a couple of things that surprised you?
Yeah, so when I was researching about the Charter, we've learned, because in the grade 5 curriculum, it's actually in there. So I'm in grade 6, so last year we've learned about it. But when I started my research, I found a lot of new things, and I found that we didn't really learn anything compared to what I learned in grade 6. We didn't really learn anything in grade 5. So for example, I learned about the main freedoms and rights. And I also learned that they will be, so after the 3 years after the Charter came into force, they actually added Section 15, which was it was elaborating on the equality rights, which was, so that means they can add more. Even I think they added another section after 11 years, which was very surprising. So that means in future the Charter. So that's really interesting.
That's really cool. And I think we actually have a project on the digital Charter, either today or tomorrow. Yeah, so another part of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is, it's interesting that it evolves so much, eh? Why do you think it evolves so much and changes?
Well, the Charter, so you're talking about the laws that change in it? Yeah, so I think they changed because they want to elaborate more on the rights and freedoms we Canadians get here. So what they want to do is they want to make the recognition of the rights and the human rights and freedoms clearer. So that's why they're adding more and they're involving more, because they want to make it more clear about the recognition of Canadian rights and freedoms.
That's great. Do you want to tell me about some of the sources that you used? Did you have one that was more important?
Yeah. So actually, I've used a lot of sources. I've used over 15 sources because
Wow.
I feel like the more sources I use, the more information I get. Then I put those all together. But however, if I need to say which one was helpful more, I would say the Canadian Encyclopedia, as many people as mentioned, because that's really a reliable source because it came from like the Canadian Encyclopedia. So yeah.
Yeah, Canadian Encyclopedia is a very popular source for our students. For those of you
Yeah.
who are new to fairs, definitely something a lot of our students like to use. Okay, so so why do you think it's important for everybody to know about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and what's in it?
Yeah, so why I feel like that Canadians need to know about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is because I think that the rights we get here are incredible. Because a lot of countries, we should recognize that we are 11 and 12 and we're not taking into army service and we're getting the opportunity to go to school, and which is all because of the charter, because half of the countries, so you can take us out Saudi Arabia, their children as young as 11 and 12 are taken into army service, and we should be thankful and grateful that we have the charter, which is protecting our rights and our parents' rights, that we get to attend school and have the opportunity.
Okay, and you did a PowerPoint, right?
Yes, I did a PowerPoint.
Yeah, so we can find the PowerPoint on the website. Maybe Keelan can drop that in the chat again. We popped it in there earlier. So that is online. You can go and look at the whole PowerPoint. Why did you decide to present it as a PowerPoint?
Well, I decided to present it as a PowerPoint because actually we were told to make a PowerPoint because of the pandemic. We were actually told at school that we need to make a PowerPoint, and that was the main foundation we were supposed to use. So I used that.
And what did you like or not like about using that to present your learnings?
Yeah. So the part I liked about it was because it kept the PowerPoint kept everything, all the information neat and tidy. So I really liked that. The hard part was because of all those technical difficulties that we have to face.
Yes, I think we've all learned a lot about technology this year. Okay. And you've already told us about why you chose your project on the topic and the most interesting thing you learned. We've talked about this. So if you were stuck in an elevator with someone who didn't know anything about the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and you had just a couple of floors to explain to them everything they needed to know, what would you say?
I would start with the basic parts that I would actually start to acknowledge the charter, because almost everyone, like not everyone, but half the people don't even know about the charter, which is surprising to me because actually I didn't know it either. So I would start off with asking them if they know anything about the charter. If they don't, then I would elaborate more on it, about the rights that we get, like we can say for PRs and everything, permanent residents. We can talk about those, and then we can go deeper into the rights and freedoms we get.
Okay. And are the rights in the charter broken down by like different rights for different groups, or does everybody have the same rights?
Well, everyone has the same rights, except so if someone's convicted with a crime, they're probably not going to get those rights. And permanent residents, Canadian citizens, and newcomers, they actually all get the same rights. They get mobility rights. The mobility rights are to leave Canada whenever they wish, to enter Canada whenever they wish. That's almost for everyone. Yeah. I think newcomers don't get that, but I'm not sure about that.
So I think we've heard a lot about mobility rights in the last year and a bit because of the pandemic and people setting up borders. And so how did you research at all how the coronavirus has allowed people to suspend certain rights in order to keep everybody in our country safe?
Yeah, so well, that are rights. I actually feel that a lot of Canadians don't like the that our mobility rights are taken away because of the lockdown. And I remember a lot of people said that our mobility rights. I didn't really quite understand what they were talking about, but now I actually understand because they were talking about that we can't move to a different province or we can't travel, and so but I feel like that was for our safety, so we should have bear with them, and we need to bear with them, and so yeah, it has actually in like the charter, um, because of the pandemic, a lot of rights have been taken away, but I think we need to bear with them, and so we have to for our safety.
And is there something in the Constitution that allows them, like that specifically says that they can do that, or that's something that we all agree to as Canadians, that this is something they're doing for our safety?
I don't know for sure.
Okay. If you're listening and you know, drop it in the chat. Let us know if there's a specific line in the Constitution that says they can do that. This has been so fascinating. I've learned so much about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and you're so great at explaining it in a way that's really easily understandable. So I've had a lot of fun. Is there any, we've got maybe one more minute. Is there any last thoughts that you want to leave us with?
Well, I just want to say that we should really be thankful that we're living in Canada and we are Canadians. We need to acknowledge that we have such a good country that has rights and freedoms for everyone. So I think we should just think that we have all these rights and freedoms.
All right. Thank you so much. This was so fun.